Hello, and welcome once again to the Dental Marketing Mastery Series. This podcast is brought to you by dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Incorporated. I'm Howie Horrocks, the founder of New Patients Incorporated. Along with me once again is my friend and partner and the president of New Patients Incorporated, Mark Dilatush. Hello, everybody. We are here once again. We're glad to have you guys out there in our audience. Hello, Mark. You're way far away, aren't you?
Hello, Howie. I'm in the intergalactic northern headquarters of New Patients Incorporated. I'm in a little tiny place called Lincoln, Maine.
Yes.
Where
I remember that place very well.
Yes.
It's wonderful up there.
Yes. We're 60 miles north in the telephone pole stop.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah. Then you got another 4 hours to go. So, yeah, no. So there's bugs. The dragonflies are just hatching. So the black flies are still out. And, it's just a normal, every year we come up and open up the cabin just to get it ready. So,
yeah.
But, we do want to stay on our podcast schedule, and we do want to produce these for our Dental Marketing Mastery members. By the way, folks, if you're listening to this and you're not a member of Dental Marketing Mastery on Facebook, there's a group there. It's a closed group. It's you just go in and ask to be invited in, and that's it. I mean, it's not hard. But our goal there is to take one of our goals there is to take these weekly podcasts and expand the discussion beyond Howie and I out to real dentists with real situations, with real challenges or real successes or whatever, and just expand the learning beyond the podcast, basically. So Dental Marketing Mastery is a Facebook group. Go ahead and we had a lot of signups this weekend. Something happened this weekend, but I had to approve like 30 people today. So I don't know. Anyway,
we don't know what that's about.
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. So Absolutely. What's our topic today, Howie?
We are going to discuss adding an associate, the perils of and pleasures of adding an associate to your practice.
Okay. Wow.
All
right.
We talked about this once at a lecture, and we just kind of started to go off on it, ad lib on it, and it turned out to be a very popular, interesting topic. So we thought we'd revisit it at this point.
Okay. Well, then let's start with the very, very basics, because there's two perspectives here. There's going to be the owner's perspective. How do I bring on an associate? And we'll focus primarily on that one. But for all the associates out there and all the owners, I will tell you that in the last 15 years, people fill out an online survey of questions and have us build marketing plans. Not a secret, right on our website. And in the last 15 years, I would say we have received minimum 300 of those surveys filled out by associates, which leads me to the conclusion that while it's nice for an associate to want to build their side of the practice, and it's nice for the owner to look for an associate who would be willing to put forth the energy, time, money, whatever they're willing to put forth to build their side of the practice, it is, at the end of the day, the owner's practice. You know what I've never received? I've never received a survey from a hygienist.
Yeah.
Who is just as much of an employee as the associate. There's no difference here.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless you're in a buy-in arrangement. If you're already in a buy-in arrangement, then, we can change the subject a little bit. Now you're an associate, but you're also, you're buying in. You got some skin on on the table, right? So here's the bottom line there. If you're an associate, it's not your job to grow his or her practice. It's your job to do great dentistry, treat people well, maybe get some referrals, but your focus should be on your skills, your speed, and your relationship with the patients you treat. And in those manners, you can really help the owner dentist. Okay, at least at first, at least until you start buying in. Now, from the owner's perspective, how many? Probably not as many as associate client surveys, but I know I've gotten 100 client surveys from owners who are complaining that their associates don't do anything to help build their practice.
Yeah.
Doctor, it's not their practice. It's your practice. You were supposed to promote. You were supposed to think ahead. You were supposed to plan. You were supposed to know the numbers before you ever brought them on board. Okay, that's not their failure. That's your failure. I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes you got to pull the Band-Aid, right? Yank it off. Scab might come with it. Some hair may come with it, but you'll be better off down the road, right? So if you're an owner and you realize, hey, man, I think I'm busy enough. I'm not sure, because we get that question a lot. And
yeah,
actually,
what's the capacity issue, right?
Right, it's a capacity issue, right? And you see it on Dental Town, you see it on the other Nexus forum, you see it actually on our own Dental Marketing Mastery forum, those questions. I think I got to add days, I got to add hygiene. Okay, so here, let me give you a really quick snapshot of how this happens most of the time. Most of the time you have a solo GP, nice market, probably is slightly underserved, or maybe they're really good at marketing, okay? And they get busy. And of course, somewhere near Mount Rushmore, somebody carved in the side of a mountain, you must pre-appoint hygiene for the rest of your life, okay? No matter what Mark Dilatush from NPI says, you must do it. So the dentist reads that on the side of the mountain, and they keep pre-appointing all their hygiene patients, pre-appointing. And pretty soon, hygiene looks so far out there that you think you have to expand. That's the first thing that happens. The first thing that happens is pre-appointing fools you. At best, 70% of those people booked out into the future are going to stick with that day and that time. At best. Trust me, it'll be lower than that for most of you. Okay, so 30% of what you're looking at is total garbage. Okay, it's a pipe dream. It's an illusion. And you make business decisions based on an illusion. That never makes any sense. Okay, so that's the first thing you look at. Do I pre-appoint almost everyone? If the answer to that is yes, okay, now we got to go look at your overdue recall report. Just run it for the last year. And if you see 400, 500, 600 people on it, and you compare that to your new patients for the same year, 400, 500, 600, you've already stagnated your practice. You're the last person on earth who should be going out and getting an associate. If you have the same number of new patients coming in as are going out, you've already stagnated your practice. Does that make sense? Howie?
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
I got cut off. Yes, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. All right.
They're not ready.
No. You're not. We got to fix something first. Okay. So normally, here's what we do. We say, Dr. Owner, I'm going to encourage you before we do a bunch of marketing for you. Really, seriously, we have these conversations. Before we go do a bunch of marketing for you, we have got to expand capacity. We have got to get your recare, your back door, managed in such a way that we can actually measure the difference between the truth and what you see in your hygiene schedule because it's not real. So once that's done, and it normally takes a week or so to figure it out with reports and stuff. Once that's done, then you can sit down and you can say, okay, doc, well, what kind of dentistry do you want to do? I want to do more of the fun stuff. That's normally what we hear. And I want my associate to handle maybe all the people who have insurance and all the, drill and fill stuff. And if I see another two-surface composite, I'm going to stick a pencil in my ear. We normally have that kind of a conversation with the dentist. So basically, all right, so you want the associate to take over, the family, more of the family side of the practice, the drill and fill stuff.
Right. And that's normally where the big mistake comes in.
Right.
Right. The doc wants to go out and find somebody just like him or her.
Right. Right. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that, Howie?
What's that?
Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a critical error that we've seen. The truth is you should get somebody that's just the opposite of you. You don't like kids anymore. You don't want to treat kids. Fine. The associate you're looking for should love to treat kids. It'd be best if she was a female too, because they've got a lock on the whole compassion thing. And that would be ideal. You don't like molar endo? Well, your associate should love it. You see what I'm getting at? You can expand your reach into your community, put a lot more arrows in your quiver, have a lot more to offer if you just find somebody that is not exactly like you.
Yeah, basically look for any female dentist willing to work with children who does straight wire ortho.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't mind working some evenings.
Exactly.
You're done. You found your associate. Now we're being a little facetious here, but in most cases we're not. But in most cases we're saying, hey doc, what do you want to do? What don't you want to do? Well, whatever you don't want to do is the list of things you want the other person to do. Right?
Right.
So once you do that, then you say, okay, well, what's your new focus? What are you excited about? What makes you get up at however early you get up and drive to work? What is it? Is it sleep apnea? Did you take an implant course? I mean, are you doing Invisalign now? What is it? What is the thing that you believe you get the most, professional satisfaction from? So then we make a list. We should probably go through that list. I mean, most dentists, when they bring on an associate, will want to back off a day, give the associate a day. That doesn't really change capacity at all. So there really is no reason in that case to do a hell of a lot more marketing. But if the owner dentist has the space and the two dentists are actually going to work there at the same time, or the hours are going to expand within the same space, now we're adding capacity. And that brings us to the second or third, I forget which mistake we're on, but really the second or third biggest mistake that dentists make is they will bring an associate on into the existing capacity, run out of patients, and not know why.
Right. I think we will continue this discussion on the other side of a break here, but when we come back, don't go away. We'll be back. We want to finish this topic. It's kind of fun.
Hi, Mark Dilatush here. I want to talk to you about NPI Concierge. This is the next big thing in dentistry. Today, about 2,000 dentists have it installed, and in 5 years, 50,000 dentists are going to have it installed. The dentists who start early will be the dentists who benefit the most. Concierge is real-time online scheduling integration between your practice's website and your practice management software. You have total control over what new and existing patients can and cannot schedule. If you'd like to see it for yourself, it takes about 20 minutes. Perhaps we can do it over a lunchtime. Send an email to demo@newpatientsinc.com. Don't be the last dentist in your market to do this. Be the first.
Okay, we are back. We were covering the mistakes that dentists often make in bringing on an associate. Mark, you were just talking about one.
Well, yeah, it's when you do your measurement of, am I busy enough? That's almost every dentist that adds an associate. That's one of the first measurements. So let's say you did that, appropriately. And they say, okay, well, I'm still going to work my 4 days a week, and I want the associate to work 2 days a week. Okay, that's a 50% increase in capacity. So if you were getting 30 new patients a month before, how many do you need now? In order for the associate and the general and the owner to be as busy as they are right now, if you're getting 30 new patients a month now and you increase capacity by 50%, how many new patients a month are you going to need after the associate starts? The answer is 45. It really is. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it really is. It's math at that point. That's where the owner and associate relationship sometimes, I mean, there's always that period where the associate is getting used to the office, the team's getting used to them, the schedule. Then there's a situation where none of the existing patients want to see the associate. They all want to see the other guy. Okay, then there's a situation where, okay, now we're getting 40 new patients a month, but now the owner, doc, is, he's kind of getting a little jealous because, his schedule is not as full or not as booked out as it was before the associate got there. See? And then you start playing games. Then the doctor owner goes up to the front desk and says, give me all the new patients. Just leave, the associate with, whatever, emergencies at, 2 a.m. on Friday nights, okay? And pretty soon what you have is you have owner-associate disharmony, and you have an associate that leaves a practice. And 9 times out of 10, the associate will say the same thing. They'll say, well, there wasn't enough patient flow for me to make a living. And 9 times out of 10, the owner says, we had clinical issues between us. We couldn't.
Creative differences.
We had creative differences, right? Clinical differences, okay? The answer is always the same, right? So this is all avoidable. It's all avoidable if you measure your capacity correctly, if you plan for it, if you measure the additional marketable attributes that the associate brings to the practice. There's something an owner can expect. If the owner is selective in the associate they hire, that is something that you can, hang your hat on. If you don't like doing molar endo and your associate does, you can add molar endo to your production. That's awesome. If you don't like doing straight wire or you've never done it and they do, God bless America. Okay, those are things you can expect from your associate, and those are things you can look for before you hire your associate, and those things will absolutely, positively help you. Associateships that run into ownership, very rare. It's very rare for us to run into a situation where a new associate walks in and begins to buy in right away. There's almost always that, usually about 2 years, about 24 months of working on the job, making sure everyone understands everyone, making sure the clinical things are taken care of, making sure the staff and the associate, there's no disharmony there. Now, one of the things I can tell the owners is that's an incredibly bad position to be in as an associate. You are basically at the mercy of the rest of the staff. And as the owner, you need to keep your eyes wide open and make sure that your staff does not take advantage of that, because a lot of times they will. And it will look like to you, the associate is being unreasonable, when pretty soon, like how many dentist owners on here have ever heard from another dentist that said, I'm never getting another associate ever again. I've had 3 and they all suck.
Yeah, that's actually pretty common to hear that.
It's very common to hear that, right? And when we hear it, we don't look at the associates. We look at the environment. What made them all stink, right? Is it something you were doing? Is it someone at the front desk who believes he or she owns the practice and can just run roughshod over everybody. Gee, never heard of that before, right? So it's not easy. It is worth it. You do have choices. You can be selective. The right one will be potentially maybe even a partner at some point, and maybe even the person who buys you out as you retire down the line. So it's definitely worth it. Just plan for it properly. Oh, one of the other, this is a capacity issue, but this just hit me in the head. One of the other things we've seen dentists attempting to do insurance transition. In other words, trying to get out of all their insurance plans and simultaneously bringing on an associate.
Oh man, talk about juggling plates. You're expanding capacity on two fronts there, and
exactly.
It's just that'd be a nightmare scenario.
And you're decreasing patient flow automatically. Okay, yeah. So nobody in a reputable marketing firm is going to say no if you stop participating in insurance Y and you have 200 patients on insurance Y, then none of them are going to leave you. I mean, that would be irresponsible for any marketing company to say. So don't expand capacity into a shrinking patient base. Okay, that almost never makes sense unless you're in just an incredibly underserved dental market with a really robust market. That's the only way that you should even attempt to do that. So the stories that we hear, we've heard them for 15 years now. They're all eerily similar, and they almost all take the same path. And it almost always begins with measuring properly at the very beginning, even before you even contemplate bringing on an associate. Before you even think about the hours or opening up another day or talking to your staff about maybe working another day or an evening or an early morning or any of those other 9,000 details. If you're a solo GP owner and you're thinking about maybe someday, maybe getting an associate, the number you're looking for is 8 work days. If a new patient, non-emergency, cannot get an appointment in your practice for 8 work days, that's your signal. Anything over that, and you're probably either you should expand capacity and absorb the production yourself, or you know what, might be time for you to start thinking about it. And I know I've got at least 50 dentists listening to this right now who are in exactly that situation, because I yell at them. I don't yell at them really, but the online scheduling appointments, I see them like, what's today, June 5th?
Yeah.
New patients making appointments in July already. So I know you're 3 weeks out. So if you have an expanded capacity, you might want to think about it, right? So anyway, this was a good topic. We could do a fireside at some point. Talk about some of the stories that some of the horror stories that we've many times dentists will come to us after they've made all those mistakes, and it's a lot easier to have this conversation with them if they've already gone through them. And, when you're having that conversation, they say, yeah, I did that too. I say, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, okay. They learning by doing. I mean, that's how I learned almost my whole childhood growing up, is really listen to my parents. I just, I drove my bike over the cliff and I got hurt. Okay, well, guess I'm not going to drive my bike over the cliff anymore. So, I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm just saying there are ways to do this right. And if you know a dentist that's done it right, chances are they did those steps right.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you again for listening. We're going to leave you now, but we'll be back soon. Thank you again. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed our podcast today. You can find more podcasts on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, and iTunes. Also on our websites, dentalwebcontent.com and newpatientsinc.com.